Hello, my people. Now, welcome to Inside Life. Now, Inside Life, life day. Now, Inside Life, you dey see the good, the bad, and the ugly. Inside Life, that we dey try to gather good governance for the near future of our generation to come. Now, make we dey create youth and presidency so we can put heads together to fight this corruption and deception wey we dey get for our country. Now, this na story between James Salinsa Debbah and a friend abi a cousin George Weah, the ex-president of Liberia. Wetin e do am, the guy just open up to talk through this na the humiliation wey e go through from im own cousin, and they are both superstars for the international league and home-based Liberia Stars, and the two of them eat for the same plate, drink for the same plate. Even the house where they stay for Liberia, the land, and the president, ex-president, na give them the land where they do well, where they think win Ghana for one World Cup back then. Make una listen to the story with una mouth, may not be like say at the talk. When breeze blow, fowl ears go open. Na Inside Life, it's not dey lie o. Make una follow, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Na there una go dey get ogbonge concrete news. We no dey lie for person yet. Every element wey you hear from us na true. And not feel say because you love somebody, the person no dey do bad, they dey do bad too. No support person because you love am o. Support am because e dey do good. Bad no dey last forever. E must come out one day. Inside Life for now, make una listen to the analysis from our international people, because many of una na international people na dey respect. For now, over and out. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're getting into a really fascinating and maybe quite sensitive story from Liberian football. It centers on alleged betrayal, deep disappointment, involving two legends, James Salinsa Debbah and former President George Manneh Weah. Yeah, so our sources for this are some excerpts, one titled Debah's Humiliation, football legend's betrayal by George Weah, and also an interview, quite an emotional one, that Debah gave. Our goal here is really to unpack what Debah describes as a painful chapter with Weah. We're looking at how personal history, political power, and, public legacy all kind of collide. So let's start right at the core. Debah talks about personal humiliation. That's a strong phrase.
It really is.
Yeah.
And he gives a very specific account, which really paints a picture. He said, Weah allegedly sent for me and kept me waiting for 6 hours and in the end never saw me. I mean, imagine that. It's not just missing an appointment. It feels like a deliberate act, right? Being summoned and then just left hanging. Apparently, it didn't stop there. Debah claims Weah told a mutual friend about the visit like 2 days later. So Weah knew he was there. And maybe even more pointedly, Debah says he messaged Weah about, 15 times over 6 years, something like that, and got zero response. Not one. That kind of sustained silence, well, it sends a message, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, that paints a stark picture of alleged neglect, maybe worse. But Debah really seems to frame this against his memories of former President Samuel Kanyon Doe. Why bring Doe into it?
Well, that contrast seems crucial for Debah. He talks about Doe's immense contribution to their careers back in the 80s, when they were starting out. He recalls this one time after a big game against Ghana, Doe sent for them, and he gave them $2,000 US. Imagine what it was at that time. Debah sees that as foundational support, a real investment that he feels directly led to their football success. It suggests a different kind of relationship with power back then.
And Debah didn't stop there, did he? He brought up Weah's alleged treatment of President Doe's widow, Nancy Doe. He asked, and Weah treated Doe's wife like that? He didn't give specifics, but the implication is clear.
Exactly. It suggests, from Debah's perspective at least, a lack of respect for the past, for the people who, in his view, laid the groundwork for their success. It's a pretty pointed critique about loyalty, about remembering where you came from, even if the details of the treatment itself aren't spelled out.
So this is clearly more than just two old friends having a falling out. These comments have landed heavily in Liberia, haven't they?
Oh, definitely. They've stirred strong reactions, absolutely. You're seeing public debates now about legacy, about loyalty, gratitude, respect, betrayal, basically. It really throws a spotlight on how political power, that sort of formal authority, can cast a long shadow over personal bonds. Bonds maybe forged years ago on the football field, fame, loyalty, legacy. They can end up in this really painful collision when someone moves from sports icon to head of state.
And that's why this matters for you listening. It's a real, tangible example, isn't it, of how these deep personal connections can get strained or even just break under the weight of political office and public life. It makes you think about how past relationships, maybe past debts of gratitude, hold up when power dynamics shift so dramatically,
Yeah.
especially when one side feels forgotten. So we've looked at this real tension, past friendship versus present power, all through the lens of a football hero's very public statement.
Yeah, and it leaves us with something to think about, doesn't it? In the public arena, especially with figures people look up to, where do those personal obligations end? Where do the sort of political necessities take over? And maybe more importantly, what does it signal when one national hero feels betrayed by another and says so out loud? It really forces us to question how we measure things like loyalty and legacy when the game completely changes.